Hey, it's TDA and welcome to episode 10 of this Dyson Sphere Let's Play. This episode is going to be relatively short. It's going to be a little bit different because I actually want to not build anything in this episode, but I want to talk to you briefly about how to plan out your next phase of the game. As we mentioned in the last episode, we now unlocked interstellar logistics. We can automate pretty much anything between our planets. But how we do that and what we build where is something I think warrants some consideration. So let's look at our planets. Our starting planet, as always, has a nice amount of iron ore and copper ore, so the basics. It has no silicon or titanium, other than what you can gather from the stones and plants, but that's quite tedious to do. It has some stone, coal. It has coal on it, so that's noteworthy, quite a lot of coal. And it also has oil. So basically, the coal and oil are things that we need quite a lot of, and they're typically only on your starting planet, or at least only guaranteed to be on your starting planet. Iron and copper, of course, are our basics as well, and we need a lot of those. But we'll also need quite a lot of silicon and titanium in order to build our stuff. So let's see what we have going on elsewhere. The gas giant that we're orbiting, we actually got a little lucky on that because we have fire ice on here. We can't actually collect it just yet, but this is a really nice shortcut in order to make some graphene-based stuff later on in the game. Very easily. It's a rare recipe, so this is something we can use. It's not that rare to have fire ice on your gas giant. There's usually the gas giant in your system. But usually you either get fire ice or you get what's it called? I always forget. Let me check before I say something that's stupid. You get the where is it? It's actually, you can't actually make it by hand, so that's why it's not showing, but it's a deuterium. So you can collect that straight from your gas giant as well sometimes. It's less useful, but yeah. If you don't have fire ice, don't worry, you can do without. It's just convenient to have it if you have it. We also have a starting system, and I completely picked it as random, so this was just a coincidence, but we have a starting system that has a few special things, but it's also not the most straightforward, as we saw maybe if you remember from one of the previous episodes. So first of all, one of our other planets is really far away. It's a little annoying, but this planet has a lot of iron ore, so that's nice. It has a lot of silicon ore, so that's nice, and it has a lot of titanium. So in general, this planet is pretty good. The only problem with this planet is that it basically has everything, but it has almost no copper ore, so that's annoying. It has some, but this will run out at some point. It doesn't really have coal. I don't count this amount. Not unusual either, but the annoying part about this planet is because it's so far away from the sun, the solar energy ratio is really low. It actually doesn't have a great atmosphere either, so it has only 70% wind energy ratio as well. So without a Dyson sphere already, or a Dyson swarm or sphere to power this planet, it's going to be not impossible, because of course you can still use wind and solar energy. It's just going to be a little annoying to have a mass production on this planet if we have to bother about power so much. So even though we do want probably to use the silicon, because it turns out this is the only planet in our system that actually has the silicon, we don't want to probably designate this as a planet where we're going to build a lot, at least until we get the Dyson sphere going. Then our third planet, this one, is special for two reasons. First of all, it has no silicon. So again, very annoying, because if this planet would have had silicon on it, it would probably have been perfect almost, because it has a nice amount of iron ore. 1.7 million is not like a huge amount, but as you can see, if you look at our starting planet, this has around 2 million, so it's not that far off. It has a lot of copper ore. This is all the copper ore we'll ever need for this game. A lot of titanium as well, but no silicon. So silicon needs to come from this planet over here. So even that's of course also the reason why we went there first, because it has both the titanium and silicon. But if we want to build on this planet, we'll need to import anything that requires silicon, basically. We can make silicon from stone. It is a really inefficient process, so I generally don't recommend doing that at all. But if you're desperate for silicon, that is something you can do. Again, it has almost no coal. That's not uncommon. That just means that not only do we need to import all the silicon stuff, that also means we need to import anything that needs coal. Graphite, to be specific, is used in quite a lot of things. Luckily, we have it on our starting planet, but yeah, on our other 2 planets, not so much. Then there's another special thing about this planet, because it's actually tidally locked. So that means one side is always facing the sun and the other side is always in darkness. Now, combined with the fact that it's relatively close to the sun, it actually has 116% solar energy. So that means if we build the solar panels somewhere in the sun, they will always be charging. So there's no need in this case to put a ring of solar panels, for example, around the planet, what you would normally do if you want to use solar energy, because the planet is turning. So if you build a ring, then always a part of your solar panels are actually charging. We can all build them on the same space, and they will always either be powered on or powered off. So that's very convenient. As you can see, this is actually highlighted in orange as well. The wind energy ratio on this planet is really high as well. So any wind turbines that we place on this planet are going to be super effective. They will be producing 1.5 times as much energy as they would normally, which is just fantastic, because that means that not only can we use the solar energy on this planet, on the one side of the planet we can still make the ring, but make the ring of wind turbines and have those be super effective as well. Now, and yeah, I know my yellow research is really slow. This does create somewhat of a problem, because we have one planet where we don't have copper, which is this one. We have one planet where we don't have the rare materials, which is our starting planet. And we have one planet that doesn't have silicon. So that means that whichever planet we kind of designate as our main planet, we are going to have to import a lot of stuff. It's not really going to be a problem, because the way I see it, what we could do is we could use our main planets to basically produce anything that needs oil or coal, so graphite, all the chemical-based stuff, and we should probably also still be using the iron ore and copper ore in order to make some engines, turbines, etc. So we actually will be putting quite a lot of production on our main planet still. I always try to designate the starting planet as our kind of like main planet, because once we really start scaling up things, we'll be running out of room really quickly, and because of all the oceans on your starting planet, and it will always have a lot of oceans on it, yeah, you either need to put in a lot of foundations, you might run out of soil pile, dirt, etc. So it can just be really annoying, so I try to avoid that. But given the fact that we have only oil on this planet, of course, and we have the coal here, and we also have a lot of the base materials, we can probably figure out a way to use at least a large part of that. I think we'll use this planet where we're already on to kind of do what we're currently doing. So this will be sort of our smelting planet, I think, where we're smelting the silicon ore, we're smelting the titanium, we're smelting iron ore, because of course, as always, we need tons and tons of iron. And then we can transport that to the other planets. We'll struggle a little bit with power, but I think we should be able to do that and get kind of a nice flow of titanium and silicon and iron coming from this planet elsewhere. And then I think what we want to do is kind of use our third planet, and I visited it between sessions. It's a very beautiful planet, to be honest, at least on the sun side. So another reason to want to go there. And I think we'll use this planet to kind of build the higher tier items. So we have a lot of iron here, we have a lot of copper here. Again, we have a lot of materials here, just not basically the silicon stuff, as well as the oil stuff. But we can import the oil from over here. Well, we're going to import a lot from our main planet, but these are relatively close, so that's quite efficient. And then we just need to import basically everything that's silicon based from over here. which will likely be mostly the processors. And there's a few other things, of course, that use silicon, but not that much. It's not going to be that big of a deal that we have to import a little bit. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking, and I hope this reasoning, kind of taking you through it, was useful to you, because whatever your system looks like, it can be completely different. I mean, ideally you have like one planet, for example, the middle one that has like a few million silicon, a few million titanium, and then maybe also some iron and copper. If you have one of those planets, then you can probably safely go ahead and kind of make that your new main planet, depending of course on its other characteristics, and kind of use that as your main base. But if it's a little bit more complicated, like ours in this case, it's useful just to kind of sit there for a moment and figure out, hey, what should I be building where? What makes sense? Think about power for a little bit. I actually tend to postpone building a Dyson Sphere and Dyson Swarm. Initially, you will have these little solar sails flying around. They look beautiful, so it's really awesome to build it. So if you haven't ever built your Dyson Swarm yet, I suggest doing that, because it looks awesome. But it's also rather inefficient, because those solar sails will fall down after a short amount of time. They use a lot of iron and copper, etc. And then that's actually I think probably the only way you can actually kind of lose the game, if you run out of iron and copper, because of your solar sails. So not necessarily because that's a problem in that you can lose the game like that. You'll have to take quite a lot of time in order to actually run out of your iron if you play on default settings. But it also slows your game down, depending on your PC, etc., your laptop. Because you can have thousands and thousands of solar sails flying around, and some PCs really don't like that. On the other hand, if you wait until you actually start to construct your Dyson Sphere, which is like the higher tier one, you use that by sending rockets to your Dyson Sphere. It's a lot more efficient to build that, and it actually gives a lot more power as well. And if you're a little bit conservative on how you build and a little bit smart about how you connect buildings, how you use drones specifically, you really don't need any Dyson Sphere until later in the game. And then of course you can build that. But I suggest that you wait until you unlock the warpers, which will be something we'll be working towards in the next few episodes. And then you can go to other systems as well. And then of course you have access to all the resources in the entire galaxy. And once you get to that point, there's no way you can run out of anything as long as you still have one warper on hand. You can always go to another galaxy. Alright, so just to wrap this up, we'll have one planet with our oil-based and coal-based production, one planet for the titanium and silicon, and then we have our third planet for the higher tier items, where we kind of bring everything together. And we'll be building our main base, so to speak. And I hope this was useful to you. Again, we didn't build anything in this episode, just wanted to talk you through it. I hope that was useful, and hopefully I will see you in episode 11.